we're recording this so that we can upload it on our YouTube channel. And we have over 130,000 children. So each family has at least one child, and some have more children, who we have worked with those families to help find a school that would work for them. The majority of our families live on about $60,000 a year or less, and about a third of them are living on about $30,000 a year or less. I'll talk a little bit more kind of about who our families are and who they've been historically, but we provide free, unbiased, non-governmental service and support and technical assistance to families who are looking for schools. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and go into our presentation. All right. So today what we're going to do is just review kind of our impact for 2021, which is really kind of going to give you a little overview of our services to date. As I said before, we've been providing school connection services for 12 years, and the pandemic did not slow us down, although we provided lots of other service in addition to school connection services with our incredible non-for-profit partners, many of whom are here today. And because I don't have a really good, I don't know why my screen isn't showing everyone. I know that there are some of our partners are here, and I will try to call everyone out, but you know, my colleagues who are chatting will give you all a shout out. Actually, these are all pictures of events or our team members. So really excited about that. We're going to talk about our most urgent issue, and then give you a sense of what we're looking at in 2022 and on the horizon. So, and then I'm just going to ask, just as a like housekeeping, I'd love to make sure everyone's muted. I think we may have muted everyone because we have 30 minutes. What would be great is if you could put your questions or comments or thoughts in the chat. My colleagues who are with me, hey Shri, good to see you. They will try to respond, but we'll be able to respond after this if we don't get to it. So let's talk a little bit about what we did this year. We did a lot of work. We did a lot of school connection work. Teresa Calloway, I see her. She's our social media manager. So everyone should give her a big thumbs up because she's just crushed it. We did a lot of school connections. So our core service is connecting families to schools and schools to families, as you know. And that's all kinds of schools. We work with district schools, traditional schools, magnet schools. We work with charter schools, CMOs, small, I call them mom and pops, or just local charter networks where they have 2 or 3 really incredible community-based schools. We work with private schools, religious, secular schools, larger schools, schools for children with special needs, all kinds of just terrific private schools. With homeschooling families, and virtual schools have become a big part of our work and service to families too. So how do we connect them? We provide information. This gives you a little bit of insight into how we do that. This year we have over 2,000 print marketing, and that is like for real snail mail. We have families who do love to get postcards and reminders. We had over 30,000 website visitors. We sent over 200,000 text messages. So text is a really big way that we keep in touch with parents, because almost everyone, regardless of income, has some kind of a smartphone or cellular device. Obviously, we're sending emails all the time, all day, every day, and social media. So I mentioned Teresa, who she can wave. You can see her. She's incredible. She joined our team this year. We're really lucky to have her. And, she's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And lots of our parents are really on Facebook and Instagram, and soon to be, I think, TikTok, which is interesting, but young parents are on TikTok, showing my age right now. But Teresa's incredible, and anyone who wants to learn more about that should reach out to her. We also hosted events. So we are not the school fair people, but we love school fairs because this is a person to person experience, right? Kids are real people and schools have real people work in them. And we want to connect families to schools and schools to families. So even during COVID, we did our best to host fairs. We had 3 virtual fairs. Those are all digital, and we built a platform. And we did those in Houston, San Antonio, and Austin, and we did them with some incredible community partners in those cities. We also hosted 4 hybrid events. And hybrid events are like in-person and virtual. I think our events will be hybrid moving forward. That's actually an upside to COVID. Our virtual events allowed us to reach lots of people who might not otherwise be able to take a day off or have reliable transportation, or something comes up, a kid gets sick or has a soccer tournament. So these events, our virtual events, allow us to reach anyone, anywhere. And we can host those while hosting an in-person event. So we're pretty excited about that innovation, and it's been great. We made over 31,000 phone calls to parents, direct phone calls. That's inbound and outbound. We have both folks calling us and we're calling people. That's really, I think, for us, like what makes us different and sets us apart. We have bilingual callers who are able to share information, service, support, and hope to parents in Spanish and English 5 days a week. And that's, we're really proud of that. We love our callers. They're family success specialists, and they love our parents. So we've been doing that for several years, but really, obviously, there's just been so much fluctuation in the school market this year that there was a lot of need to serve parents via phone. And one other quick fact, over 70% of our phone calls are in Spanish. Parents prefer to speak in Spanish on those calls. So it just gives you another glimpse of how important our services are. Okay. Why is this? Sorry. Okay. Whoops. I'm going to go back. All right. We also have tools. So we have common applications in Austin, Houston, and San Antonio. And when 2022, we will be launching something else to be revealed at the end. We had just thousands of visitors, right? So there were so much fluctuation this year in school connections and applications. It just wasn't a typical year, largely due to the 2020 spring, then the 2020 fall, which is normally people apply to school in the late fall, winter, and late winter, the spring and the summer when people enroll. That just didn't happen in 2020, as you all know. And so last year, we were working with families, directing them to our apply sites and schools that are not participating in our apply sites, but really all year, and still, I think, up until really like this week. So there's just lots of parents who are hesitant to return to school or not really sure what they wanted. And we just had thousands and thousands of visitors. A little point on this is unique visitors means deduped. So we didn't fluff up this number for the purpose of like the wow effect. So these numbers are really our unique deduped visitors, but the majority of users do return to our site at least more than once. So that's just something that's really important. And remember, I talked about those hybrid or online events, the virtual school fairs. We had over 3,500 people attend those. And many, many schools got sort of their own virtual booth and videos and stuff that lived sort of as evergreen for many months on those sites. And so we had, 3,500 families that could find out more information that way. So we're really proud of that, and over 17,000 unique visitors. So we've got lots of access to thousands of parents in Texas. And it's not by accident. It's because our team is working relentlessly behind the scenes every single day to reach out to families, to build relationships with schools, non-for-profits, community partners, pre-Ks. We've worked with other entities, which we'll talk about, but there has been no shortage of school connections this year at Families Empowered. So the work we're doing and the service to families has honestly never been more relevant than the last 18 months. We have had coverage this year that we've never had before. I think my colleagues are going to share in our YouTube channel with you all in the chat. So after this event, you can go and see some of this. But, you know, we have, like the rest of the country, Texas had students who've gone missing. We had over 250,000 kids who sort of went missing. Some of those kids maybe dropped out in 2020 and aren't coming back. Many of them were 4 and 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds whose parents just really said, I can't make this work. You know, I can't do a virtual pre-K or a virtual kinder. And so we really elevated the issue of the importance of schooling and having diverse options over and over. And this coverage really highlights the urgent need for organizations like Families Empowered. One of the questions I get asked all the time is, where do parents in other places go, in other states or cities where you don't exist? Where do parents, specifically under-resourced, non-English speaking, newcomer, virtual parents, you know, very young or first-time parents go? Where do they get help that's unbiased and neutral and free and bilingual? And there is no real answer. So, you know, we feel like we're really providing a public good, and I think that our parent response demonstrates that. But this year in particular, we had a lot of media interest in the state of schooling, and I think there's a heightened interest in general. And we just got a ton of coverage, both in English speaking outlets and 7 Spanish language outlets. So that's pretty significant. And we're really proud of that. So some other work that's not visible to the public, and I'm going to go through pretty quickly. If you want more information on this, certainly our team can help you with it. But we do, because we provide free unbiased service to families and we don't ask anything, we don't charge our families anything. We create a lot of value for them. And in exchange, when we ask them for something like information, they're generally willing to give it to us. And remember, we're non-governmental, so we are non-threatening, right? Like, we're not scary to people. We're really just, we are here to serve and to listen in a non-judgmental way. And what that does is it builds trust. So we have started conducting surveys, and this is one example. But this year we decided, because we have access, because we're to so many families, because families tell us information, and because we have a big issue with pre-K and kinder enrollment, we decided to launch a pre-K kinder roundup with a coalition of partners in Houston. And the goal for that was really to have pre-K and kinder levels return to pre-COVID levels. We really believe that kids need to be in pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. And specifically in the state of Texas, for those of you not from Texas on this call, kindergarten is not mandated by law in our state. And so, you know, having those first grade, second grade school ready skills, it really requires that early work. And so we made a commitment to push to re-engage pre-K and kinder students. We launched a survey, which is a micro survey. We had over 700 respondents in Texas. We asked the families with school-age children from 3 to 6 years old which factors were most important when considering enrollment. We really wanted to understand, like, why aren't they enrolling? Crazy, 62% said they couldn't find a program, which hits at like our reason for being. So it was sort of a market validator for us. We were like, okay, people need help finding their options. The second reason, thing that was most important was health and safety. And honestly, that's been consistent prior to COVID. people really worry about the health and safety of their little ones. I mean, it's logical for those of you who are parents. That's pretty important, right? Put your 3-year-old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old in a program that is going to be safe and where their health and well-being will be cared for, and particularly heightened with COVID. And then the next most important issue that was on parents' mind was social interaction. So it turns out parents want their kids in a joyful place with other children so they can learn those soft skills, right? Like self-control, sharing, taking turns, compromising, all the school-ready things that are really, really important when you're older, but you learn when you're little. And that social interaction, that play, kids were so isolated. That was really important. Obviously, daytime care as a working mom myself, like that's reasonable. School quality came down low. Just a quick note on that before I move on. It's not that parents don't care about quality, but what we really heard was like, it's my child's 4. I want her or him to be in a joyful, appropriate, safe environment. And for most parents, that's just common sense. And I think that there's a real leap when we tell parents that a pre-K program is like STEM focused. They just sort of know that's like slightly dubious. So to those of you who are school folks on listening, if you are trying to enroll parents, they really care about health and safety, joy, and what kind of a culture your school's going to have. And obviously people care about quality, but that was the lowest bar, which was interesting. And we thought program costs would be high, but it was not. So if you'd like more information on that, happy to share more, but I want to just thank the YMCA, Collaborative for Children, Children at Risk, and Good Reason Houston, who are partnering with us on this. And this is an ongoing project. So we're now moving to sort of a second part of this survey, which is we're doing focus groups to really dig into some of these issues and really willing to share this information. Incidentally, this survey went outside of Texas. It got shared very widely, and we had over 2,000 respondents nationwide. So that's an insane sample size, but over 700 in Texas. So we feel really good about the data that we got. Couple other things. So the data insights, this year we were really proud to support the Texas Education Agency's Supplemental Special Education Services Grant. We helped close to 2,000 families process through applications. We answered questions about this really important grant that was set aside for children with developmental and physical delays and disabilities. And we were also really excited to work with TEA and other coalition partners to help make this program permanent and also expand it. So more to come on that, but just really want to give a shout out also to the American Federation for Children of Texas, who partnered up with us on that. It was a great project, and we're really proud to have been able to help parents with children with special needs. We also worked with TEA, who did a project with Columbia University, and we helped source some focus groups for some research they were doing, and also the National Parent Association, CDC. So that was very fun. And again, if you have any interest in learning more, please contact us and we'll share, but that's not sort of visible. We don't talk about that a lot, but because we have so much access to families, we were able to do that. And then, as I said before, we do bi-monthly surveys. So that's a lot. And also this year we are expanding, or have expanded, I should say, to Tarrant County. We're super excited. We have launched in Tarrant County, and we are serving families now. We are launching Apply Tarrant County on November 1st. We already have 39 schools signed up for that Apply site. We're really proud of that. We're partnering with Fort Worth Education Partners, who I'm not sure if they're on this call, and we'll be hosting 4 school connection events, fairs, those hybrid fairs. We're going to do 4. It's going to be really wild. So there's people on this webinar that I think, I don't know, this isn't a webinar, this Zoom event. come, make sure you contact us. Shree, you're one of those people. We want to hear from you all. But we're really excited about those events, and we think Tarrant County is really, really an amazing place. Families have been great, school partners have been excellent, and parents have been really receptive. So we're really proud that we got to launch that in 2021. So, who cares about a pandemic? We're just going to keep growing. That was kind of our motto. So what's on the horizon? For those of you who don't know, that is the Arizona state flag. We will be launching in Tucson this year. We're partnering up with the Community Investment Corp and some other groups to launch this parent service in Tucson. We are also doing some statewide work. Arizona is an amazing place for families empowered. And I always sort of say, like, I'm not sure why we didn't go earlier. We'd been asked for years to consider expanding to Arizona. In fact, we were there on March 7th of 2020, and 9 days later, everything kind of went crazy. So we've been working for many years, kind of on the down low on this, and then the pandemic hit. And this summer, we just decided, if not now, when? And let's make this happen. So there's a strong school choice environment, tons of innovation there, incredible funding that is going directly to families. Just what is happening in that state's incredible. And I think our ability to add value to families, especially the most under-resourced or the parents least likely to know about all of the amazing school options, is that's where we're going to add a ton of value, and we're super excited about it. And we're also working, by the way, with we're excited with the governor's education team on the Education Recovery Benefit program. So we're going to help support parents who are going to be receiving that grant, which is really exciting. And it's similar to the Supplemental Special Education Services program. So we've got a lot of great muscle memory on that. I'm aware of time. We've got 5 minutes. So this is our big initiative this year. This is it. I mentioned we had 250,000 kids who've gone missing. Our goal is that by next August, we have enrollment numbers that are back to pre-COVID numbers, and that we have accounted for kids in Texas, whether they are in charter schools, their neighborhood schools, magnet schools. We know if they are actually homeschooling, whether they're in a virtual school. We want every school-age child to be enrolled in school. So we've launched with an amazing group of community members and board members and friends. Some of you are on this call, a Reenrolled Texas campaign. And it's focused on re-enrolling kids, raising awareness about this issue, and providing support to more families. So growing our resources and providing those school connection supports year round, not in just sort of our general buckets. So to that end, our goal is really to get those 250,000 kids who are missing out of the darkness and into the light. We think it's unacceptable that we have missing kids, that there's a moral urgency, there's a workforce urgency, and that we have a role to play along with many of you on this Zoom to right this wrong. We have a campaign that involves, soliciting partners, friends, and funds. So our aim is to raise $250,000 to support year-round school enrollment. And we've got a great group of folks who are doing that and helping us with it. So we've got a Reenrolled Texas committee. We're very grateful to all of these folks. And they've committed to either their time, their treasure, their talent, their creativity, their partnership. If you have an interest in participating in this, there's tons of different ways to be involved. If you care about the issue of re-enrolling kids and you want to be part of this effort, please reach out to us. I'd love for this to be 7 columns of people. So, and I think, so the ways that you can get involved, generally, not just in Reenrolled Texas, but generally, or to volunteer your time. We're always looking for volunteers. Partner with us. So partnering involves school partners. Some of our school partners are on this. It involves community partners, like the YMCA. It involves or the food bank or Texas Children's. One of our best partners is the San Antonio Food Bank. They're amazing. If you work with the families that we are really well positioned to serve, reach out. Let's figure out ways to link up. Donations. I know that my team has just put in the chat ways to give. We need to raise funds. Our callers are paid. They're paid full time. They're paid a living wage. Our staff is majority female, majority minority staff, and we pay everyone a living wage and provide benefits. So we need to, all of the work we do is it costs money. So if you are able to donate some funding, every dollar, whether it's $10, $25, $100, $1,000, all of the resources that are given to us go into the service of families. And then lastly, in-kind giving. Everyone's like, what's in-kind giving? This is in-kind giving. This is Raising Cane's. This is an example of an awesome partner. They used to come to events and give away free lemonade. And this year they're giving us 600 kids meals to give away to our families. And we'll be giving those out in multiple ways. And it's just a great example of, how one for-profit company has said, I want to be involved, but I don't quite know how to do it. And it's weird because of COVID. And we're like, well, we have access to thousands of kids. And they said, great, because we want to give away some meals. So we were able to, it's a good win-win. All right, I talked faster than I have ever talked.
You have a couple questions in the chat.
Okay, and I just heard there are a couple questions in the chat. I am so far behind on the chat.
Going back to marketing.
Okay, any insight into why there was so much more engagement in Houston than other cities? Yeah, I think in other cities, first of all, we've been in Houston the longest. So there's that. And I think that might be that's probably Apply Houston. That site's been up the longest. And this was the first year that we really put direct resources into PR for our Apply sites. We have historically not really been good at promoting ourselves. We for about 9 out of our 12 years, we just actually relied on school partners, lots of charter school wait lists. There's some in the waiting room too.
Yeah, they're joining.
Okay, sorry. So I think there's a lot of reasons for that, largely because this was a big year that we pushed. The other thing is, I'll just be really candid, the majority of our resources and support comes from Houston. We have incredible supporters in almost every city, but most of our philanthropic support comes from Houston. And there are folks in Houston who are committed to their hometown and they want to see those resources used in Houston. So, that's largely, we have to be fair to the folks who fund us. And so we had more resources to spend in Houston to do community outreach. And it's a bigger city. There are just more people. So that's why, but I think we'll see those numbers grow. The other thing is each city, just as a little sort of insight, would be there are cities that were more open to getting kids back. There were just different cultural issues that happened because of COVID. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens this year. And so, but would love to talk to, I don't know who asked that question, but would love to talk to that person. Oh, great. Absolutely. Reach back out to us. We would love to explore with you, Brian, like why that is. You guys are so great at research. So this is from Bellwether. We would love to talk to you about that. And you guys might be able to provide some real interesting insight, or we could partner up on that. Pre-K survey.
This is his next question from the pre-K survey.
Okay, pre-K survey was close to home, work an option. Brian, I don't remember, but we could talk to you about that instrument and would be happy to talk offline. That's a great question. And I'm not sure if we asked that. What we do is with those surveys, just to give you a little bit of like methodology, is our digital surveys we structure so that I'm going to stop sharing my screen, by the way. Oh, great. Now I can see more people. There's like, this is great. I couldn't see everybody before. So we structure those because we're really sensitive about time, and we've learned a lot about how parents respond. We structure the digital surveys so it's usually no more than 3 questions, and they're really easy to answer, and it gives you a really strong hook. So the parents, they can fill it out on their phone, and then we can follow up with people who've responded to dig deeper. So the longer questions become phone surveys as follow-ups. And then those phone surveys lead to the identification of folks who could do a focus group, right? So the digital survey is really about really kind of like a broad-based question that makes it easy for someone to answer, but it also signals to parents, we care, we're listening. So we're working with 2 districts right now, traditional districts. I'm not going to reveal those districts because we're doing some insight work for these 2 districts who are like, we need to do better. We need to understand why families don't, are struggling to apply to our schools or aren't considering us. And we want to ask those tough questions. And so we're actually working with those districts to like structure that kind of response, which is like, you can't start out with a 10-question survey to some parent who's like, time is a resource, small, it's like, you just can't say to someone, give me 10 minutes of your time, but you can say, could you fill these 5 things out? And you'll be entered into a raffle for a $100 gift card for a grocery store. I was gonna say HEB, that's a Texas thing. I see responsive ed there. Hey, responsive ed, you're like, I'm looking at 5 people other than myself, but I know there are other people on here. If there are no other questions, again, anyone who came to our luncheon last year, or not last year, it was 2019, it was 2019, knows that we value people's time. Because we know it's a resource. We like to start on time and end on time in our organization. Maybe it's because we have a lot of moms who are always multitasking and we're like, make it happen. So we are at time. In fact, we're over. I want to thank you all so much for your continued interest, partnership, support, belief in. If you have any further questions you want to probe, hey, Robert, good to see you. I love your Halloween decorations in the background. Please reach out to us. We are about to launch into a serious, Robert knows this, he was on staff a long time ago. Maybe not that long ago, but it feels like a long time ago. We are about to be doing events, like we're going into crazy towns, crazy season. We will be promoting our apply sites, we'll be promoting schools, we'll be hosting events. I mean, between now and really the end of like mid-February, this is school application season, and it is on. Like, it is way more normal than it was. Last year was crazy. It is on this year. And so again, if you're interested, we need volunteers at those events. If you are running schools, we want to see your schools there. If you've got organizations that work with schools, please contact us. And just thank you so much. Thanks, Alba. Teresa, so good to see you. Wave for everyone. She's a social media expert. God bless her. See you later. Have a great day. It's so good to see everyone, although I don't see